Okay. So what we're going to talk about today, we're just going to go over some of these signals, okay, on the chart. We're going to show you guys some that are very good and some that we might want to avoid, right? So the first thing we want to talk about when we talk about signals is we want to talk about taking them on trend, right? So since yesterday, we've essentially been in a downtrend. Okay, so the first thing we want to do, and we're just going to kind of go through how we would identify the best signals that this indicator will give us. Okay, it's going to give us multiple, it's going to give us different directions. Okay, because it is indicating short-term trend shifts on the one, right? But if we stay focused on taking the trades that are on trend, our win percentage is going to go up. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we want to identify what the trend is, right? Trend is down. And I nicely broke this 238 on the 15 as well. Okay. Okay. So then what we want to do is we want to go into this chart. We want to look for what type of trades if our trend was down. Okay. So we will be looking for sells, right? Because those are the trades that are going to be on trend. Okay. And they're going to be the best opportunity with this indicator for us to get into good trades. Okay. So I'm going to go over a lot of these signals. Okay. And there are, lots of these signals that are good and some of them that are a little bit harder for signals, So what we want to do is make sure that if we're staying on trend, okay, we're looking for sells and we know that these sells have a higher opportunity. Okay. Just said that, Maggie, but we're going to talk about these signals in this education. Okay. So we are looking for the higher percentage wins. Okay. Now, I'm not going to talk about the times. Obviously, we know in the PDF, there's times we would take these and times we won't. I'm just going to talk about the signals. Okay. And some of these are in those time zones and some of them aren't. Okay. So on trend, right? Below the 238, right? That means the 238 isn't in the way, right? And these signals. So we're going to talk about there's a sell signal here. And we're just going to keep putting these positions up here. Okay. To show you the potential. Right. There's a little, look how tight that stop loss could be if you were going back to structure and on the other side of the EMAs. You probably would have been closer to the bottom of that, but so there might not be going all the way to 30 pips, but it's a win, right? 10, 20 pips there. Now, one thing about these signals is that they aren't all perfect. No indicator is, and anybody who tells you that they have an indicator that's 100% they are liars. Okay, we need to understand how to use these things on our way. Okay, and the first thing we're doing today is to identify what the trend was and take those signals on trend. Okay, so very good signal here, right? Just coming back into our trading time, nice signal there. 20 to 30 pips, depending on when you got into that thing on the board. Okay, now this comes back, sets this bottom. Okay, we want to talk about how we kind of use these things with structure, right? So you can see that this flashed all the way down here and bounced. So this is where support and resistance comes along with some of these signals. Okay, now one thing I want you to look at with this signal here is at first, this signal is literally going to be called right at a support level. So this is a tough signal. This is when we talk about that risk reward in a signal, right? This signal is going to be called, and you should be watching, seeing when these EMAs are going to cross. While everything is under, you're under the 238, that lines up, right? We're on a downtrend, that lines up. The one thing I would do with this signal is be patient, because look where that signal is going to get called, right at that support line. Now, if you were patient and tried to wait for the pullback, you might have got in here, which is a little bit of a better entry. Still would have been a loss, and that can happen. And this is why we're doing a 1 to 2 risk reward, because we want to make sure that our losses are 1s and our wins are 2. Okay, so this would have been a hard signal. This is what we use those support and resistance levels for. Okay, this is what we use these support and resistance levels for, to show us what our reward might be. So this signal, while it would have been on downtrend, where it called this signal, right, even just back to here, there's only 6 pips. That's just not enough reward, right? That's all risk, right? Getting a little bit more space, say it called it up here, then you have a potential of 30 pips back down there. Okay, well, at least it'll go probably 10 15 pips. I can get to break even before it gets back here, with the potential of it maybe breaking, right? So this just being called here at this support line would be a reason to be patient. Okay, the second reason to be patient is I want you to look at the angles of these EMAs. Okay, so as you can see, these EMAs are not very far apart, right? They're literally 2 pips apart. Okay, so with the space between these EMAs, that just means these trends aren't shifting and pushing very hard, right? Because they're so close to together. You could get one of these where it just goes down and up and down, and that's when we kind of, it's in a bit of a consolidation area, because these EMAs are so close to each other, right? You want to see this space come out, right? So you can see these swings. See how this 20 is gaining strength and heading up on this strong angle and creating some space. Same thing here, right? Breaks, coming back down to it, it's breaking hard, right? And then you get into here where it's just, they're kind of, obviously you need to be careful how you zoom in and out of the chart, but you can see that these just don't have a lot of distance between them. Okay, so there's 2 things that would potentially keep me out of this signal. Okay. They're not much different. I mean, a consolidation area is either an accumulation or a distribution. That's just where it's the consolidation is where they're bringing volume into the market. Okay, so, but we're just going to focus on the signals right now. Okay, so you can see that there just isn't much space between these EMAs. This thing calls it right into support. This just, for the risk reward for me, there just wouldn't have been a lot of reward here. Okay. And now we come over to this trade, and this one I probably would have taken. Okay, you can see it pushed up. It happened very quickly, right? You got a 7, 8, maybe 10 pip drop from this and rejected. Now, as we get into these signals, and we weren't really going to talk about the timing, but this is getting into a little bit of a no trading time as we're coming out of London Open. Okay, but we're just going to keep looking at these signals, right? And a bunch of these signals are kind of playing out the same on the sells. This one, if you look at it, not enough space, right? Right at a support level. Okay, this one happens as well. You have a little bit more of a push. It breaks the 238. So a bunch of things here that show you, okay, there's potential of this heading back down. You can see this big wick here might have given you, okay. Why would you take this one? Well, maybe you wouldn't, because support is right here, right? Not enough, again, not enough reward. Okay, but these are another thing that just happened in this is there's something else to kind of keep us out of this trade, that we have this big green star right here as well as it's heading back down. So it's rated a support level, big green star. I probably would have taken this one, because the support level I would have been looking at would have been down here, right? So there would have been about 30 pips on the board with that support level back down here. Okay. So we would have had a couple of bad signals here. This is also, if we were talking about our trading time, we're getting into kind of the no trading time, but there's lots of sell signals here to just take a look at, right? So maybe we would have taken a loss there. Okay. We should have stayed out of this one because it was right at that support level. This one potentially right at that support level too could have been a reason to kind of keep you out of it. And then you can also see EMAs don't quite just, this 20 just isn't going on an angle, straight line, heading downwards. So there was, a bit of a not enough separation in these EMAs that we would like. Okay, so potentially if we did get into this one, we could have taken a loss. Okay, but we keep moving on. We're still on trend. It shifts back up into a buy. Okay, we're like, okay, let's keep an eye on how this next sell is going to go. You can see that there's a little bit of space in these EMAs, and then this thing crosses with lots of angle, right? Comes down, crosses with some strength. Okay. And then we have our short position, getting into it right there, right? Making sure we move our stop when we get to a place where we can protect. There's a 3% trade on the board. Okay, so another win. Okay. With potentially this one being a loss. So let's say we're 2-1 now. Okay. Another sell comes. Another good strength on this 20, except that this would hit probably right at this, really close to this support line again, after pushing all the way back up. And you're getting these ups and downs. These are going to be trades that you want to make sure you protect right away so that you're not getting reversed and stop losses being hit. Okay. So hits this support, does bounce, and then start to make its way back down. The signal is okay. There isn't a ton of pips on this signal, but you can see nice angle again, below the 238, heading the right direction on trend. That is the wrong. Okay. And there's, 20 pips on the board. Could still be a 1 to 2 if you're using that 238. Right. So that is actually a win with the potential to be at least a break even with potential of a few pips on the board. Okay. Now we're in the heavy no trade zone, but as you can see, as we want to talk about these signals, this sell gets called on what color candle? Okay. I'm not going to go over every single trade, guys. I'm going to go through all these. We'll get to questions after we get the recording done. Okay. We have a red triangle on a green candle. This immediately doesn't invalidate this signal, but it wants you to wait at least out a pullback. Now, one thing you can see on these EMAs, I want you to look at that 238. Okay, these EMAs are going to give us a tell on whether this thing wants some straight. It's literally a straight line. Okay, look at how close the blue and the red EMAs are to each other. Look at this bunch. I got to like zoom right in to even see any space. They're just right on top of each other. Red signal, blue candle, EMAs completely flat. These EMAs, the 20 and the 50, they're essentially their average for the last little bit are the same. So there's just no trend at all. This I wouldn't have taken this trade because red triangle, blue candle, EMAs sitting on each other, the 238 completely flat, right? Here's the thing, and we want to talk about being patient with these signals because even if this is the right direction and all those types of things, right? These EMAs being on top of each other are just, I would rather wait out this move and see that there's some volume up so that we can get volume down before I would want to get into a signal. I would wait for these EMAs to start to make some pushes away from each other, which they start to do, right? You can see they start to do. So this, right? You can see they start to push, right? And separate from each other. Okay. So this signal, we would have avoided it. With the EMAs being totally flat, you can see it just sitting on each other. It almost recrosses the next candle. Right. So for me, I'd have been like, nope, I'm not in this thing. Okay. And now we come over to this. You can see this really, really strong support. You can see this thing flashed all the way through it, pushed back up, came back down to that support. That's when we got this thing to switch. Now, this signal would be a good signal even if you just entered it, because it never goes back to a 25 pip stop. It stays in this zone, but you can see this support line you would have wanted to be patient with this signal. Now, this signal, of course, okay. Say you did get into this thing at the signal, you were totally fine. 25 pips, it's a 30 pip even back to there. Okay, and then you have 60 on the board. This would have been a little bit nerving trying to get through it, right, in that position, because of that support and how many times it bounces off it, pushes off it. But once it breaks there, it has a nice run all the way back down to the bottom. There's 60 on the, potentially 60 on the board, right? But even if you were doing just a 50, it would have hit it right there. Okay. Or you could have waited for it to break that support. Essentially, you would have been getting it the same time as this candle. Okay, so that's, I want to talk about how we make these signals and we stay on trend, because the one thing that's super important is if we went through here, right? We went through here and took a look at all these trades, right? There's even another one right there. We want to count that one as well, right? We can go through these trades. If we were just up here, and this isn't the best volume even, right? This is on a blue candle. So we would wait for the pullback, re-enter there. Okay. I'd say there's 20 pips on the board. Okay. Obviously, you want to try and hold these things to our 1 to 2. Sometimes that doesn't happen, but getting into, a break-even position or taking, 20 pips on each trade, right? Let's just take a look at what we would have added up here if we would have been trading this time. And now this, like I said, is not the best volume. This is coming after a holiday, right? This isn't, the US market hasn't even really been open yet, right? So hasn't been open yet. So we're not getting the volume we want, and there's still plenty of opportunities. Okay, let's just say we took every sell signal here going through. Okay, we'll say we take all of them. Okay, let's say we got 20 pips there. Sorry, positive 20. We'll say we take 25 there. Okay, positive 45. Okay, we took a loss here. Let's just say we got into everyone, even though we would want to avoid this because of where it entered. Okay, let's just say we take a loss there. So now we're 20 pips positive. Okay, this has got a big old green star back to its support. Let's say we're still taking these things. This actually doesn't even go 25 pips, just goes 25 pips in the other direction. Okay, let's say we're taking all these. So now we take this. It's another loss. We're actually at break even. 2 wins, 2 losses. We're down 5 pips. Okay, we're actually down 5 pips. And this is not the best time to be trading, right? This is not, we're getting the volume. I'm just showing you the power of these signals, right? And then we take this one, 30, we're back up 25. Okay, we take this one, 20, back up 45. And obviously, if we took both those trades and we were up 45, that's actually over our goal for the day, and we could have been done. Okay, we're back up 45. Okay, say we're taking every trade, but this, we wouldn't have taken this one. I could say, there's that blue candle is an immediate, no, I don't want this signal, right? So we avoided this one. Okay, so we're still up. We're going to say we're still up 45. Well, 30, 50, yes, we're still up 45. Okay, one more trade, 50 pips on the board, 95 pips. This is literally one of the worst volume areas to trade. I just wanted to show you the power of the signals. We would have been up 95 pips if we would have taken every sell signal except for this one, because it was on a blue candle. Now, the reason I want to show you guys is things obviously to look out for on the signals that might keep us out of entries or might keep us a little bit patient on some of these. I mean, all these flat EMAs and everything, I wouldn't even touch that thing. Okay, right? So we had a potential, if we took all these trades through here, just avoided this one, but still took those other ones, which there were things that would have helped us avoid them. We'd be up 95 pips. Okay, now how many people who are on the call would be comfortable with a 95 pip day? I would be too. Right? We're not going to talk about these percentages because we're recording, but right, this is why this thing is so powerful. right? All these signals. And there was even more pips to be had here. We could have taken this thing down to 60 pips and got more out of it. This and one thing about this isn't even the best time to trade volume, because it's in London. London is opening and closing. US market isn't even open, and still, right? If you took every signal, you would have got 1, 2, so you get 2 losses there, 3, 4. You would have went, what are we looking at? 5 wins, 2 losses, positive almost 100 pips. Just taking what the market gives you. Okay, so I just wanted to show you the power of these signals. We'll do this again tomorrow, on trend, showing these, the power of what these arrows tell you. Okay, so I'm going to stop recording. Okay. And then there was a